Hello and welcome to Ruth Soap. I'm Ellen and today I am making my shaving pucks. I'm running low, I got to restock and get them curing. So for the fragrance on these, I am going to be using this Bourbon Street from Nurture Soap. I love this fragrance. It is distinctly masculine, but I tend to really like a masculine scent, and so this one is awesome. It's very I don't even know how to describe it. I'll look it up and maybe read it when we get into it, but it's wonderful. That's going to be the fragrance. It does discolor, it says to a medium tan, so that's fine for a shaving puck. It'll still lather up nice and white. For the clay portion, I normally use kaolin clay. I'm going to use bentonite clay, which is what I put in all of my shaving bars. It just gives a really nice slip to the lather. It bubbles up really nice, but it just allows the razor to glide really well. And these shaving pucks are not just for guys. Gals can use them if you like the fragrance on your legs or wherever you need it. And so anyway, it makes a great shaving bar. For the liquid portion, I will be using aloe vera juice because that's very soothing, and you know, shaving is a pretty harsh exfoliant. It can be tough on your skin, so I think a good toner afterwards and having aloe vera in the soap just adds to the soothing factor. For my mold here, I have a video, an earlier video that I will link below, or if I can get a card to go, I'll put it somewhere. I'll have a link of how I made my big PVC mold. This is a great big 3-inch, I think. Anyway, and I have a tube liner that I use in here, and I have this apparatus. I'll show you how it works when we get there, but this big bad boy, and then on the bottom, to keep it standing, I have a flange. And so it's very solid, it doesn't tip over. You could mount this on wood if you wanted it very, very stable. I wouldn't let little people or dogs run around this when it was full of soap. You know, it's not going to tip over, but you know, just be safe. So anyway, I'll show you that when we get to pouring, but let's see, I got the aloe vera, I got the bentonite clay, I got the fragrance. What else do we have going on? I like to put in a little bit of extra cocoa butter in my shaving soap for the moisturizing, because again, shaving is an aggressive thing on your skin, and so we want to counter that with really soothing properties. I'll put colloidal oats in there. It's just a great bar. It's very even if you have like sensitive skin, I think that this is a really nice bar to shave with. My husband likes it too. So I'm going to get everything pulled together, get my hair pulled back, safety gear on, and let's make some shaving pucks. All right, sorry about the weird angle on the camera. I had to pull it off to the side here so I can show you this whole apparatus setup that I've got going on for our shaving pucks. Let me show you. So this is a 3-inch PVC pipe that we got at a hardware store. We have a Lowe's in our town. If you have a Home Depot, Ace Hardware, really anywhere you can get PVC. And then like I showed you earlier, there's a flange on the bottom, and we just cut this long because this is the size of batch that I make. You could cut this into little sections, I mean however you want, but this just has a flange on it for a stability footer, and you could even mount this on a block. So there's that. And then for the top, I have this little apparatus made up because I do a no-stick lining in here. And what I use is, this is just a polytube lining, and I get it in bulk. I got this massive roll. It's thousands of feet. And I will try to find the link for it. I bought this so long ago. I'll try and find a link and leave it below, but it's just polytube lining, and it makes unmolding a dream in this big mold. Let me just give you a heads up. This is a 3-inch diameter PVC. You don't want to get 3-inch poly lining because that would be a 1.5-inch tube. You want it to be 3 inches open. This is, let me measure. Whoops. There we go. This is 4 inches. And it comes in 5 inches too, and that's fine if it's a little big, because when you want the circumference of this when it's open to fill the tube. So this goes in, sorry, this is sounding complicated. Let me just throw this in here. This is for oil in cars, but this is what I use to get the soap down in there, so I'm not trying to pour in a tiny hole. So get a big old funnel for an easier pour that's not messy. So what we did for topping on this, because obviously this needs to be suspended on something, and this is not flexible, this is a non-stretchy tube lining, and you want that. You don't want it to like balloon out with your soap, the weight of the soap. So this is just what we put together at the hardware store. You could come up, get creative, come up with your own top on this. But so we just have, I don't even know what these pieces are called, but 2 little pieces. I feed the tubing up through it, open it up, stretch it over the top. I open up the tubing and I stretch it over the top here. So now it's open down in the middle. And this just simply holds it all together and keeps it from sinking down. It holds it at the top. And then of course this runs down in the center. I hope this is making sense. It's really not that complicated. I'm making it sound more complicated than it is. Basically, you got your PVC, you got a liner, and you got a little top apparatus so it doesn't all go shoop down in the bottom. That's what I've got going on. All right, so here's what it looks like when it's all ready to go. I'll deconstruct just a little. I cut the length of the tube liner so that it goes to the bottom. I don't want it to hit the bottom of it, but you know, real close to the bottom, because just for the volume that I'm making. I've got this all screwed on nice and tight to hold the weight. The nice thing is this poly liner isn't stretchy, so when the weight of the soap, you know, soap's heavy, it's several pounds of soap, it's not gonna like stretch down. And what I did was I got the correct length and I just tied a knot on the bottom. And so that bottom bar is going to be kind of ugly, and that'll be my bar. I love this soap, so I don't mind having a little wonky end pieces will be for me. So you just stuff it down in here, and if you want to, I mean, the liquid soap pouring in is going to open it up, but we'll take just a blow dryer or something, hit some air in there, it'll open it up, or you can just pour in there and the weight of the soap is going to open that up. So that is the apparatus, and I apologize. I made this sound more complicated than it is. It's really simple, and you can play around and just make your own fittings. This is just what we came up with, what was available the day we were there, and pieced it together. But I'm sure people are more creative than me. You'd probably come up with a better top system than this, but this is just what works for me. And but the poly liner is awesome for unmolding, and of course I'll show you that tomorrow when we unmold. But I didn't mean to make this sound so complicated. It's really not that complicated. But anyway, let me get everything pulled together and let's make some soap. All right, I get asked frequently about adding silk to my water lye solution. This is aloe vera juice, liquid aloe vera juice that I buy in gallon containers at the grocery store. Anyway, what I have in here is I have dissolved a heaping tablespoon of cane sugar in the aloe vera juice, and it's cold. You can see the condensation on my pitcher here. I keep my aloe in the refrigerator. So the sugar's all dissolved, and you want to do that before you add the lye, otherwise it won't dissolve. And ask me how I know. I learned that the hard way. Here is my Tussa silk fibers. And they're just silky is what they are. It's very fluffy, it's light. I can't tell you how much because it's so light you cannot weigh this. But if you smush it, it's about a cotton ball size. So I just sort of, loosen it up a little. I throw it in here and sink it down with my spatula. And now I'm going to add my lye in. And I don't have to add the lye slow because this isn't a milk product or anything. So I just get all of my lye in there. Stand back. You do not want to breathe the fumes. But I'll stir this for just a moment and you'll see it'll get nice and hot. And that silk will melt just very, very quickly. And with lye, you want to, no matter what you're adding your lye to, whether it's water or milk or aloe, you want to stir until all the granules are dissolved. That's key. You don't want any chunks in there. Once it's dissolved, you can just let it sit and cool. I'm going to go pop this in an ice bath because I'm impatient. If I was really pulled together, I could have my aloe frozen in cubes. But then it's hard to dissolve the sugar. So this is how I like to do it. I can dissolve the sugar in the liquid and I throw it in an ice bath. That's how I approach it. But some people do like to use ice cubes, and that's cool too. So I've got my oils and butter, and again, these have a little extra cocoa butter than my normal recipe. And I forgot to mention in the intro, my oils also include hemp seed oil. And I got this from Soaper's Choice, and it is wonderful, high quality, and it's just a perfect oil for these shaving bars. It's so soothing topically. Hemp oil is wonderful. So I'll let you look up the properties of it, but that is a good portion in here also. And for my dry ingredients, so I'm going to use bentonite clay. I'll be putting that in everything, colloidal oats, and I'm also going to add a little bit of this aloe leaf powder. I feel like it's very soothing, and it will add little flecks in there, but it's not really an exfoliant. So I'm going to go ahead and add my dry powders in here now and let them anchor in, and I'll probably go ahead and put in my fragrance too and let it sort of anchor in there. So I'm going to put a couple heaping teaspoons, so that's about a tablespoon of aloe leaf powder in there. And I'm going to do, after I get everything added in, I'll go ahead and split off a little and do some titanium dioxide and do an in the pot swirl just to add some interest. You know, just because it's a shaving soap doesn't mean it can't be fun and pretty, so we'll do that. So here's my bentonite clay, and we'll put in there, and I'll do one more. Okay, so couple of tablespoons of bentonite, and then 2 tablespoons of colloidal oats, and these are just going to be so skin nourishing and skin soothing. So let me get this blended in. Tap out the air bubbles and we'll blend. All right, we're back and ready to get our aloe lye solution stirred in here, but I wanted to read the scent description for this Bourbon Street. Let's see, it goes on about jazz clubs and such. It says tonka bean and sandalwood, rose and Buddha wood combine this fragrance. It is a dupe of Lush's The Voice of Reason, which I have never smelled their fragrance, but I love this. It is kind of smoky, jazz roomy smelling. I think it's perfect for a masculine shaving puck. And I keep saying masculine, but I definitely use this. So let's get this stirred in. I love the descriptions on some of the fragrances. They must have so much fun kind of coming up with their wording, and they're very creative the way they describe fragrances. Not just Nurture Soap, all of the places where I get fragrance oils. They have some very colorful descriptions. And it is really hard to describe scents. Yeah, I wish there was such a thing as smell-o-vision. I wish y'all could just take a whiff when I make soaps and decide for yourself what it smells like. So I'm just going for emulsification, and you can see between the hemp oil and the aloe leaf powder and the bentonite how dark this is. Plus that fragrance does discolor, which is fine. It lathers nice and white, so it makes a nice, dense, creamy shaving lather. There we go. I'm going to pour off from my little swirly bits. And again, I'll just do an in the pot swirl because pouring down that big funnel, it's going to, pretty much swirl on its own anyway. I'm going to pull this out, so I'll give it a quick stick blend. And here is my pre-mixed titanium dioxide, which is water-soluble TD, 1 part TD to 2 parts water in here. Alright, it's the next day and I've got my big PVC pipe here on the table. I'm going to show you how easy it is to unmold. That is all you do. Look at that. Piece of cake. And it is really hard to show all of this in one shot, but there, there it is. So let me show you how I get the top off of this and get it out of the tube lining here and get to cutting. First thing, and I screwed this on so tight, but you have to unscrew the top or however, you know, whatever apparatus you figured out. Undo the top portion and get that off. Okay, and so this obviously is going to be for me because it's, you know, or it's tender enough I could maybe do a soap dough with it. But so what I do is I take my scissors and I just start it, and it just peels open like this. And if it stops, I just snip and start peeling again. Alright, and I've got the paper all, or not the paper, but the tube lining all done, and just peel it off, throw this away. Big beautiful log of soap. So let me get my cutter out and I'll show you how to proceed. Right. So first things first, this is a bud cutter. I got this single bar cutter on Etsy from Bud's Workshop, and it came with this little block. And this little block is, if you have a longer mold, you can put it down here. It's the correct height to rest your soap on. So I use those for my shaving soap because this thing is very long. So I'm going to put this block all the way down here, and I'm going to lift my shaving soap up on here because I don't want it to break. All right, we'll cut this, and it's a little bit of a swirl in there. It smells fantastic. The darker swirl will get a little darker even, but you can see a little bit of the flecks of the aloe leaf powder. These are fantastic. So I'm going to weigh it and make sure I'm in my range, and I am. And I have my little cooling racks here, and I'm going to just stack these on here and let them dry. I don't stamp my shaving bars because my stamp wouldn't fit on there even if I wanted to. So let's just proceed forward here. All right, I figured I'd flip you around and show you the whole apparatus set up here. And then I'm going to set them on the cooling racks back there after we slice. But that is a big old log of shaving soap. So here's a fun project. This is the top piece that I'll save off a slice of this for myself, but it's the next day. This is soap dough consistency, and I've got this really cute little succulent mold, and I'm actually going to make some succulents with soap dough out of this and just save them for another project. When I have a fragrance that kind of coordinates with this, I will use these. So even little wonky end pieces don't go to waste. There, cut off about that much, and it's very pliable today. I just make a soap dough. So I don't clean these up the way that I clean my normal bars up. So what I do is I have a clean, it's got a little bit of stain. These are my soap rags, but this is a clean, dry terry cloth rag from my soap room. And I just run it around the edge of the soap to smooth out the rough edges. And it just makes a nice, smooth finish. I don't have a steady enough hand. I've tried using my little beveler, and I end up sort of gouging it, and it gets wavy, and I just think it's unattractive. So this way, it's just a nice smooth edge, and that's how I finish these bars. I don't stamp them. They're just very simple shaving pucks, and they're the perfect size to fit in just a regular mug. If you don't have a specific shaving mug, a small bowl, a ramekin makes a great shaving bowl. So that is a finished bar, and these are going to set to cure for 6 weeks, and they'll be ready in time for Christmas shopping and all that good stuff. So this is how I finish them.